Good morning and welcome, dears. I am Sophia, HST English of NNMHS Chelembra. In the last class, we have studied a song Blowing in the Wind by Bob Dylan. Have you all gone through the poem? Have you all studied or have you all gone through the song? Okay, let us watch the song once more.
How many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man? How many seas must the white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? How many times must the cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. How many years can a mountain exist before it's washed to the sea? How many years can some people exist before they're allowed to be free? How many times can a man turn his head and pretend that he just doesn't see? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. How many times must a man look up before he really sees the sky? How many ears must one person have before he can hear people cry? How many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
Have you watched? Okay. Let us check what the former president of America, Barack Obama, told about this song and about the writer. Read this. There is not a bigger giant in the history of American music. His voice helped redefine not just what music sounded like, but the message it carried and how it made people feel. Barack Obama. And again, I want to say that is the power of music. Okay. Today, we are going to learn or we are going to study the structure of the poem in detail. We are going to study the structure of the poem. Let us read the song again. Blowing in the wind. How many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man? How many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? And how many times the cannonballs fly before they are forever banned? And the answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Yes, and how many years can a mountain exist before it is washed to the sea? Yes, and how many years can some people exist before they are allowed to be free? And yes, and how many times can a mountain turn, can a man turn his head and pretend that he just doesn't see? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. And how many times must a man look up before he can see the sky? And how many years must one man have before he can hear people cry? And how many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Now we have read the song, and can you notice anything special about the structure of the song? Can you notice anything special here? Please answer me. Yes, you are right. The song is full of questions. The song is full of questions. How many questions are there in the song? In the first stanza, there are 3 questions, and in the second stanza also, the writer asked 3 questions, and in the third stanza also, there are 3 questions. So, there are 9 questions asked in this song. In total, 9 questions are there in the song. And you know what these types of questions are called rhetorical questions. These types of questions are called rhetorical questions. Read this: rhetorical questions. A rhetorical question is a figure of speech in the form of a question posed for rhetorical effect rather than to receive an answer. They encourage the listener to reflect on what the implied answer to the question must be. See, rhetorical questions, they are what the rhetorical question is a figure of speech. It is a figure of speech in which a question is asked for a reason. A question is asked for a reason rather than to get an answer. The question is asking for a reason. There is a reason behind asking such a question, not for a answer. It is not for an answer. It is a figurative language. They are questions that have another layer of meaning on the top of the literal meaning. These questions have another layer of meaning on the top of the literal meaning. And these questions, and what the questions do is that these types of questions challenge the listener, challenge the reader. It challenge the reader, and it raise doubts in the reader. It challenge the listeners to raise doubts in the listener, and it helps to emphasize a point. These types of questions, rhetorical questions, helps to emphasize, stress a point, and they often appear in the poems, songs, in the speeches as well as in the literature. These types of questions, and you might have noticed that in the speeches they are asking, and do you know why we are gathered here? And do you know the importance of this day? What is the importance of this day? Why we are gathered here? Questions like that, they are called rhetorical questions. They are asking not to get an answer but to stress a point. They are asking, they are not intended to get an answer but to stress a point. These questions expecting to get, they are not expecting to get a direct answer. So they are a figurative language in which we are asking a question for a reason, not to get an answer. Clear? Okay, it is intended to stress a point, and it to raise doubts in the mind of the listener, as well as it to challenge the listener. Okay, so there are 9 rhetorical questions asked in our song. And what are the other things you can notice while writing? While reading the song. See, the answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. And these two lines are repeated in three stanzas. In the all three stanzas, these two lines, the answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. It is repeated throughout the poem. The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. And in the last of the first stanza, again in the last of the second stanza, in the last two lines, they are repeated thrice in the song, and they are called refrain. They are called refrain. This is also another poetic device used by the writers. Refrain. Refrain means it is a sound, word, phrase or line repeated regularly in a poem. Refrain is a sound or a word or a phrase or line repeated regularly in a poem. That is what we call refrain. See, a phrase, line or a group of lines repeated at intervals in a song or in a poem is called refrain. See, they are generally found at the end of the stanza. These refrains, we can see these refrains at the end of the stanza. And this is it is a part of song which is repeated, that we understood, and it helps to emphasize. This refrain is also help to emphasize an idea or point, and to create it helps to create a rhythm to the song. It helps to emphasize a point or idea or stress a point or idea, and it will help to create a rhythm, and it will become noticeable to the readers. It will easily become noticeable to the readers, and that is refrain, a sound, word or phrase or line that is repeated at intervals in a poem or in a song is called refrain. Clear? You can write this in your notebook. What is refrain? And underline the refrain in the song. The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. That is the refrain in our song, blowing in the wind. Okay. And now we are discussing about the poetical devices used by the writers, and these poetic devices are nothing. They are some techniques used by the poets to beautify their poem. The writers are using such techniques, that is, such tactics or techniques to beautify their poem. Okay. Another one, metaphor. Metaphor. What is metaphor? Metaphor is a comparison between two different things without using like or as. Metaphor is a comparison of two different things, and in that comparison we are not using the words like or as. And you have studied another figure of speech which is called simile. In simile, what is simile? Simile is also a comparison of two different things using the word like or as. See here, example for metaphor. All the world is a stage. It is an example for metaphor. And if we write like this, all the world is like a stage, then it is simile. See the difference between, there is a slight difference between simile and metaphor. See the difference between simile and metaphor. In simile, her heart is like gold, and these two figures of which they are comparing two different things. It is the comparison of two different things. In simile also they are comparing two different things, and in metaphor also they are comparing two different things. But the only difference is that in simile we use like or as, and in metaphor we are not using the words like or as. See, in simile, the first one, her heart is like gold. Her heart is like gold. In metaphor, the same idea in metaphor, her heart is gold. Her heart is gold. Her heart is like gold, and her heart is gold in metaphor. In the second, see the second one, listen to the second one. The world is like a stage. The world is like a stage. The world is a stage. In metaphor, we can say the world is a stage. Third one, he eats like a pig. He eats like a pig. In metaphor, he is a pig. He is a pig. In simile, you are like a rock. You are like a rock. And in metaphor, you are a rock. In metaphor, we can say that you are a rock. Last one, your eyes are like sunshine. In metaphor, you are my sunshine. You are my sunshine. So this is the, I think you could able to understand the difference between simile and metaphor. In simile we use like or as, and in metaphor we are not using like the words like or as. But these two are comparing, these two figure of speech, we are comparing two different things. Clear? Okay. And another one, symbol. See, symbol. There is symbolism. The poet used symbolism in this song. And symbols, what symbols stand for? A symbol is often an ordinary object, event, person or animal to which we have attached extraordinary meaning and significance. So in symbols also we are comparing two things, and there is a likeness between two different things. That is why we symbolize like that. And in this song, sky symbolize freedom, and road symbolize what the life experience of a person, and the mountain here stands for ego or pride, and they are symbols used in the Bible. So, and metaphor, and if you are in the exams, the question is like what are the symbols used in this poem? You can write mountain is a symbol which stands for ego or pride. And if they are asking the metaphor, what are the metaphors used in this poem, then also you can write the same answer. Okay, because there is only a slight difference between all of these. They are if they are asking about simile, there is no simile used in this song. Okay, metaphors are there and symbols are also there. And in our song, the metaphor, road is a metaphor of life. Road, metaphor of life. And white dove is a metaphor of peace. And mountain is used, the mountain symbolizes pride or ego. And last, sky is a metaphor used for unlimited freedom. It's a metaphor for unlimited freedom. So all these are symbols also. Road is a symbol for life experience, and white dove symbolizes peace, or a mountain symbolizes pride or ego, and sky symbolizes unlimited freedom. Clear? Okay. Next one, another word, and so the poetic device the poet used here is anaphora. Anaphora, it is used to the repetition for effect. The use of the same word or phrase at the beginning of several successive clauses, sentences, lines or verses usually for emphasis or rhetorical effect. Anaphora is the repetition of the same word or phrase at the beginning of several successive clauses or successive sentences or in the lines or verse. That is called anaphora. And look at the example given here, then you can easily understand what is anaphora. Look at the example here. She didn't speak, she didn't stand, she didn't even look up when we came in. Is an example for anaphora. See, she didn't speak, she didn't stand, she didn't even look up when we came in. She didn't. Used the phrase she didn't 3 times the. It is for for emphasize that idea. So she didn't speak, she didn't stand, she didn't even look up. That is an example for anaphora. And where did the poet use anaphora in our poem? Look at here. How many roads must a man? How many? In the first line, how many? The phrase how many? Again it comes in the third line, how many? Again in the fifth line, how many times? Then how many years? How many years? Again, how many times? In the last stanza, how many times? How many years? How many deaths? And in all these lines, the same phrase or word is used. That is what we call anaphora. And before you, another one, before you, before she, before they, again before it. And in the second stanza, before they, again comes in the last stanza, before he, then before, again before he. And before is a word which is used several times at the beginning of the lines in this song. So these are examples for anaphora in our song. Another poetic device the writer used here is alliteration. I am sure you are familiar with alliteration and assonance. Am I right? Yes. Alliteration. Alliteration is use of the same beginning consonant sound in a line or verse. It is the repetition of consonant sound in a line or verse. It is a repetition of same consonant sound at the beginning of a line or verse. Here is an example. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Per sound repeated 6 times in that line. The sound per is repeated here. The sound per is repeated 6 times. It is repeated. The sound is repeated 6 times. It is an example for alliteration. And kake kake gudevade, in that song it is repeated there. And in many and from Sugathakumari, Kando Kannane Kannum Chuvannamma Kaatil Thedi Nadakkunnu. And from Changambura Kanaga Chilanga Kilungi Kilungi. In all these things, Vailapilli Kaidavam Kana Kannu Kannunir Tadagamai. In all these lines they used alliteration. It is a technique of the poets to beautify their poem. Okay, and where did the poet use alliteration in our song? In the first stanza, many roads must a man walk down. Here, many roads must a man walk down. In the first line itself, the sound m is repeated 3 times. In the first line, the sound m, many roads must a man walk down. Again in the third line, seas must, how many seas must a white dove sail? Seas and sail. S sound repeated there twice. And in the fourth line, before she sleeps in the sand, she sleeps in the sand. Sleeps and sand. There the sound s used 2 times, twice the sound s used here. And I am telling about the sound, not about the letter. Okay, see the difference. And in the fourth line, before she sleeps in the sand, there is a she. In she also there is an s there, the letter s there. Sleeps s there, sand s there, but the pronunciation is different, the sound is different. She, there s is not using the sound. She, sh is the sound in she, s is the sound in sleeps, s is the sound in sand. So sleeps in the sand. Okay. In the second stanza, how many years can a mountain exist? There also m sound repeated twice. Many and mountain, m sound used there. And there in the middle of this stanza, how many times can a man turn his head? Here, how many times can a man turn his head? Many and man, m sound repeated. Times and turn, t sound repeated. How and how his head, h sound repeated thrice. So we can see the use of alliteration in that line. How, his and head, there is a, and many, man, then time, turn, so t sound repeated. In the last stanza also we can see many times must a man look up, 3 times the sound m repeated 3 times. See the sky, see the sky, see sky, s sound repeated twice. And many years must one man have, many must man, m sound repeated thrice, 3 times. And in the fourth line, can hear people cry, k sound, k sound repeated, can hear people cry, k sound repeated 2 times. And in the next line, how many deaths will it take till he knows, k sound repeated 2 times. So throughout the poem, throughout the song, the poet used alliteration. Okay, I think it is clear to you. Please note these points and understand and write it in your notebook what is alliteration and the examples taken from the song, from our song Blowing in the Wind. Next one, assonance. Assonance, it is alliteration is the repetition of consonant sounds, and assonance is the repetition of vowel sounds within a sentence or a phrase. Repetition of sounds produced by vowels within a sentence or phrase, that is called assonance. Say, hear the mellow wedding bells. Hear the mellow wedding bells. See, mellow wedding bells. Mellow, me, a sound. Wedding, a sound. Bells, a sound. See, I am not telling about the letter E, but the sound A. Like, no, it is not letter E, but the sound A. Sound A sound is used the. A sound is used the. Mellow wedding bells. Okay, it is an example for assonance. See another example. The rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain. The rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain. Rain, A-I, A is the sound. Rain, Spain, again A is the sound. Mainly, again A is the sound. Plain, A is the sound. A-I, A is the sound. So, the A sound repeated. A sound repeated 4 times in these lines. That is an example for assonance. And shall we check our song The poet used assonance, yes. Will it take till he knows? The line, yes, and how many deaths will it take till he knows? There, will it take till he knows? The sound, will it take till he knows? Will it take till he knows? Here, will, it, till. See, the sound the sound E is will, E sound repeated again, it, E sound, and till, E sound repeated here. 3 times the sound repeated, E sound repeated here, will. Not the letter I, but the sound E. Blowing in the wind, blowing, in, E sound again, in the wind, in, E sound the, and wind, okay, again 3 times the sound E is repeated, the. So the example, these are the example for the assonance used in our song. Next is imagery. What is an imagery? Everybody knows that. What is an imagery? Imagery is the author's use of language that appeals to the 5 senses in order to help the reader imagine exactly what is being described. And it is also a technique by the poet, by the writer, and it helps in order to help the reader. It helps the reader to imagine exactly what is being described, and it helps us to imagine ourselves what is being said in the literature. Okay, imagery is the author's use of language that appeals to the 5 senses in order to help the reader imagine exactly what is being described. And they are appealing to our 5 senses. There are 5 senses. What are our 5 senses? And eyes are eyes, nose, tongue, ears, and skin. There are 5 senses, and these images are appealing to our 5 senses. Listen to this, the 5 senses. And sight, visual imagery, and visual imagery is related to our sight, visual imagery, that is related to our sight, to our eyes. And when we read school, and we are getting, at that time we are getting a picture of school in our mind's eye. While we read dove, and we are getting a picture of dove in our mind's eye, that is visual imagery. And the second one is auditory imagery. Auditory imagery appeals to our ears, and which is related with the sound. Auditory imagery is related to sound. And when we hear something, when we read some word or phrase, we are getting what the sound in our mind's ears, and people cry, and we are getting the sound in our ears. And tactile imagery which is related to our feeling, that is, which is related to our skin feeling, that is touch. And olfactory imagery which is related to our nose, which is related to our power of smell, related to nose. Olfactory imagery. ഇപ്പം നമ്മൾ എന്തുകൊണ്ടാണ് ആ ഒരു സ്മെൽ ചില സമയത്ത് ബിരിയാണി എന്നൊക്കെ കേൾക്കുന്ന സമയത്ത് എന്താണ് we are getting the smell of that, and the same thing is related to our taste also. Gustatory imagery which is related to our ടേസ്റ്റ്. അപ്പം നമ്മൾ ഈ ബിരിയാണി എന്നൊക്കെ കേൾക്കുന്ന സമയത്ത് വി ആർ ഗെറ്റിംഗ് ദ സ്മെൽ ആൻഡ് വി ആർ ഓൾസോ ഗെറ്റിംഗ് ദ ടേസ്റ്റ് in our tongue. That is gustatory imagery, olfactory imagery. So we have 5 imagery: visual imagery, auditory imagery, tactile imagery, olfactory imagery, gustatory imagery. So what are the images? Shall we find out the different images used by the writer in this song? And visual images used in the song is man walk down. That is a visual image. White dove sail. That is another visual image used here. Sleep in the sand. Another visual image. Mountain excess. Washed to the sea. See the sky. All these are visual images. And you can find out more examples from the same song, and find out more example for visual images. And the auditory images used in this song are call him. It is an auditory image. Cannonballs fly, and we are getting the sound at the time of the war. Cannonballs fly, people cry, and all these are examples for examples for auditory images used in the song. Clear? The visual images and auditory images. Now shall we move on to the questions in the text? Okay, open your text. And what is the first question there? Shall we discuss the question answers? Okay, what is the first question in your textbook? The first one, what does the word road refer to here? What does the word rods refer to here? And we know that rod refer to the life experience. It symbolize the life experience. The life experience of a person is referred to as roads here. Okay. Second question, do the questions given here demand a specific answer? What do you call such a question? Do the questions given here demand a specific answer? What do you call such a question? And we have discussed it in detail, and we know that these questions are expecting a direct, such questions are not expecting a direct answer from the readers or from the viewers. And these types of questions are asking for a reason, not to get an answer, to stress an idea, not to get an answer, not to get a direct answer. Such a question, no. The answer is no. And those questions are not intended to get an answer. They are called rhetorical questions that we have discussed. Rhetorical questions. Third one, why does the writer say that the answer is blowing in the wind? Why does the writer says that the answer is blowing in the wind? That we know he says so. The writer says so because the answers are out there for anyone who is willing to grab them. Actually, everybody knows the answer. There is no need to get an answer. Everybody knows the answer for all these questions. And but nobody troubles to quest for those answers. Okay. Next one, how is the question about mountain related to the other two questions in stanza 2? In the stanza 2 there is a question about mountains, and after that there are two more questions in the same stanza. How these questions are related to each other? That is our question. Okay. Here mountain symbolizes the pride and ego of those who desire war. This ego is the reason for the pathetic condition of the African Americans, and they are forced to pretend that there is no inequality, and they ignore the unjust and discriminatory things that they see around them. Thus, the three questions are related to each other. That we know that a mountain, which is a symbol of pride or ego of the rulers, those who desire war, and this ego is the reason for the condition, the pathetic situation of the African Americans. So these African Americans, actually they are forced to pretend that there is no inequality there. So these three questions are related to each other. Shall we move on to the next question? Fifth one. Who may be the people and man? What is the attitude of the writer towards them? And in the second stanza, there is the word the people and man. Who may be the people and man? Here some people refers to African Americans. Here the people or some people refers to African Americans. And man refers to the ruler or the government. Man is the ruler or the government. The writer empathize with them. What is the writer's attitude towards them? What is the writer's attitudes towards these people, these African Americans? Or what is the writer's attitude towards the government? See, the writer empathize with the African Americans. The writer empathize with the African Americans, and he feel ashamed for on the rulers. He feel ashamed on the rulers. Okay. Next one. Pick out the lines from the song that refer to the denial of civil rights. And in what lines we can see the denial of civil rights? These are the lines. The lines from third stanza. Yes, and how many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died? Here we can see the denial of civil rights. And the last question. This is the last one. What attitude of the people is reflected in the refrain? What is the refrain here? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. That is the refrain. What attitude of the people is reflected here in this refrain? The indifference of the people. The indifference of the people. And we know that everybody knows the solutions. Everybody knows the answer. Everybody knows everything. At the same time, they are pretending there is no inequality here. So the indifference of the people can be seen here. The indifference of the people can be seen here. The writer says that the answers are blowing in the wind. The answers are out there for anyone who is willing to grab them. But the problem is that no one is willing to or capable of grabbing those answers. So it is clear that the indifference is the attitude of the people here. Okay. So we have finished the question answers, and shall we attempt an appreciation of the song? Are you ready? Let us write an appreciation of the song. Okay, we have studied the song, and you have gone through the song several times, and I am sure that now you are capable, or now you are able to write the appreciation of the song. Okay. For the appreciation, we all know that we should write the name of the song first, or the name of the poem or name of the song at first. After that, you should write about the poet. You should write a paragraph about the poet and about the theme of this song or poem. You should write about the poet, and then you can mention the theme or the background of what is the background of this song, or what is the theme of the song. You can write that. After that, you can write the paraphrase of the you can write the meaning of the lines. You can write all these things, and the summary, you can write the summary of that song, and then you should mention the poetic devices used in the song. The poetic devices used by the poet should be there in your appreciation. And then last, you can write, and you can also include the message of, is there any message the poet need to convey. You can also write what is the message of the song, or what is the message of the poem. You should write that. After that, you can write your opinion about the song. At the last, please write your opinion into one or two sentences. You can write your opinion about the song or poem. Okay, so first write the heading, that is the appreciation of Blowing in the Wind, in such a way. After that, write about the poet and about the theme of the poem or song, or about the background of the song, like that. After that, you can write the summary of the song or poem. Then you can write what are the techniques or what are the poetic devices the poet used in that particular poem. Then you can write the message. Is there any message, you can write that message there. And last, add your comments or your opinion about the song. If you include all these points, you will get a good appreciation of the song. See, this is an appreciation of the song Blowing in the Wind. Okay, shall we read this? Appreciation of the song Blowing in the Wind. Blowing in the Wind is one of the most famous songs written and sung by the Nobel laureate Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan was a crusader for world peace. He despised the warring policy of his country. He vehemently protested against America's tyranny in the Vietnam War. He pens his feelings in the heart-touching song Blowing in the Wind. He strummed this song wherever he sang, and since then it has become the most popular and powerful protest song against war. The song comprises 3 stanzas. Each stanza begins with a rhetorical question that interrogates the purpose of the war. The next lines state the futility of the war. The concluding 2 lines of each stanza bear the title as a refrain. The refrain is the solution man can find himself. The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. The poet asks 9 rhetorical questions in the song. He asks how long the mankind should suffer in life before they are accepted as human beings. How many seas a white dove should cross to find a peaceful place to sleep? How many wars should take place before wars and weapons are banned? He warns that the power of dictators cannot withstand the united force of people, and people cannot be kept as captives forever. He not only criticizes the oppressive rulers or governments, but also questions the irresponsibilities of people. People should rise to the occasion and raise the voice of protest against human rights violations. He asks how long people can pretend that they do not see and hear the miseries and cries of the oppressed, and after how many deaths people are going to realize that too many have already died. Raising all these questions, the poet himself answers them, pointing to the fact that the answers are well known to all and blowing in the wind. We need only to open our eyes and ears to catch them. All these questions are examples of the figure of speech, rhetorical questions, and the repetition of the line, "The answers, my friend, blowing in the wind," is an example of refrain. In addition to the rhetorical questions and refrain, the writer makes use of many poetic devices in this song. We get examples for alliteration in "She sleeps in the sand," sleeps in the sand, and "see the sky," etc. The words like road, white dove, mountain, and sky are examples for metaphor. No doubt this song is one of the greatest songs of our time. Bob Dylan was more than just a singer or songwriter. He was a visionary and he was a humanitarian. He put his skills to good use, like in this song. So we finished the appreciation of the song. Please write an appreciation of the song "Blowing in the Wind." Okay. And now in this class we have studied what about we have studied the imagery used in the poem. Before that we have discussed about rhetorical questions. After that we have discussed about refrain. Then comes alliteration, assonance, then metaphor and symbols used in the song. Then we have discussed about anaphora, and after that the question answers and everything. Please write all these in your notebook and study the song well, and make an appreciation of the song "Blowing in the Wind." Okay, and we finished the song, and this is time to wind up the class. Okay, see you soon. Bye. Take care.